Hey, yo, you ready? Let's do it.
I'm the definition of half man, half drugs, ass the clubs, bad boy, that's what's up. After bucks, crush crews after us. No games, we ain't laughing much. Nothing but big things. Check the hit list, how we twitch. What changed with the name? We still here, you're rocking with the best. Don't worry if I write rhymes, I write checks. Who's the boss? Dudes is lost. Don't think cause I'm iced out, I'ma cool off. Who else but me? And if you don't feel me, that means you can't touch me. It's ugly, trust me. Get it right, dog, we ain't never left. We just move in silence and rep to the death. It's official, I survived what I've been through. Y'all got drama, the saga continues. We ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. We can't be stopped now, cause it's bad boy for life. We ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. We can't be stopped now, cause it's bad boy for life.
Straight from the Harlem streets. I don't play, I push it down with the Harlem heat. All of a sudden, got a problem with me. Black, what happened? They running around acting like the black don't can't eat. And you know what? For some strange reason, I'm off of this medication, feeling deranged, needing for y'all to put the word out. Come on, we ain't leaving. We trying to be rich before we all stop breathing. Therefore, we kinda hustle lanes. Stay laying down a muscle game. Still turn dreams to flames. You got the wire? If not, I ain't saying no names. You soon expire. No pain. I feel remorseless. Of course, it's me and Diddy up first, racing Porsches with the big twin valve exhausters. On the cover of your vibes, double XLs and saucers.
We ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere.
Ain't going nowhere.
We can't be stopped now, cause it's bad boy for life.
We ain't
Going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere.
We ain't going
We
nowhere.
can't be stopped now, cause it's bad boy
It
for
ain't
life.
changed
Ain't shit.
since the notorious.
Miss you.
See, everything still glorious. We still got warriors, still be the victorious. See, it's a lot of them, but it's more of us. Still got cash to blow, raps to flow. Still them cats to know, pack to flow. That's for sure. Bottles to pop, joints to rock. Play the background, hand 'em a jock. Hold 'em a money to get, cars to flip. Bars to sit at and sip cognac with juice to drip. Hoes to see, make sure they knowin' it's me. Drop that D, can't believe that I am C. Bad boy to the casket drop. Gotta love it, place nothing above it. It's on like that. Don't believe we ain't going like that. For always gonna be here. We there, every month is here.
bad boy.
Going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere.
We ain't going
We
nowhere.
can't be stopped now, cause it's bad boy for life. We ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. We can't be stopped now, cause it's bad boy for life.
We ain't going nowhere.
Going
We
nowhere.
gonna stay right
We
here
ain't
forever
going nowhere.
and ever
We can't be
and
stopped now,
ever.
cause it's bad boy for life.
We ain't going nowhere.
Going nowhere.
We gonna stay right here.
Going
We
nowhere.
ain't going
We can't
nowhere.
be stopped now,
We
cause
gonna
it's
stay right
bad
here.
boy for life. Going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. We can't be stopped now, cause it's bad boy for life.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, as always, Miguel Magallon. And as always, President, Founder, CEO of Magallon Entertainment. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back to the podcast tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, as expected, I gotta talk about the CPI report. I gotta talk about the inflation numbers. I gotta talk about the bitch-ass data. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, when I'm about to teach you some shit, when I'm about to educate you on shit, and when I'm about to drop some knowledge in this bitch, you already know what time it is on the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, get the pen in the pads, get the pen in the pads, get the pens and the motherfucking pads. And let us begin learning this evening. Because I gotta tell you, I saw the CPI data this morning, and I gotta tell you, ladies and gentlemen, across the country and around the world, when I saw the CPI data this morning, the first thing I motherfucking said was fake, 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 fake as fuck. But I will acknowledge, the Bulls have without a doubt, undisputably, unequivocally, undeniably have taken control of the stock market and this economy. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no denying it. There is no debating it. There is no fighting it. What's true is fucking true. The Bulls have us by the balls right now. The Bulls are running the stock market right now. And the Bulls are pumping their chest about this fake ass economy right now. So let's get into it. So inflation numbers come out this morning, right? And they came in basically as expected. So it wasn't a surprise to the upside or the downside. It wasn't, anything, out of left field, right? Nothing spectacular, nothing amazing. Basically came in as expected. So we had to, what do we always do? What does every analyst, every fucking investor, every economist, every fucking mutual fund, hedge fund, CEO, stock market, analyst, what does everyone do? Same thing we do in the streets of Los Angeles. We pop the hood of the trunk. You know what I mean? Like, we pop the hood. And when we pop the hood under this motherfucker and we look, all right, what kind of engine we working with? What kind of data are we really looking at? The thing that most of the bears are always looking at the most is this thing called core inflation. And I know we've been talking about it on the podcast for like 12 straight months now. But the reason it's so important is because core inflation is what the Federal Reserve looks at the most. So there's a lot of things that, make up overall inflation. So overall inflation, and again, one more time, especially for those of you guys who are new to the podcast, welcome to all my new subscribers listening to me across the country and around the world. But overall inflation is everything from car prices, gas prices, home prices, gas prices, rent prices, but it also encompasses things from anywhere from food prices to shoe prices, makeup prices, hotels, airlines, casinos, restaurants, strip clubs, AutoZone, how much does it charge to like change your oil, or how much does it cost to like change your transmission or fix your transmission, window repairs, home renovations, everything, clothes prices, diapers, formula, shout out to all the parents who listen to this podcast every night. I know there's a lot of new parents out there who are listening to this podcast every night, who are trying to figure out how they can provide a better future, not just for themselves, but for their family and for their kids right now. Shout out to all the, the new parents out there listening to me tonight. I know there's a lot of people who've had, babies and are starting to have kids right now, including all you millennials that ended up having pandemic babies. Yeah, you know who you are. But, I'm not, this isn't to knock on you, I'm a proud father, I'm a proud dad. So shout out to all the parents who are listening to this every night, because I know if you're listening to this podcast every night, you're not just thinking about yourself, you're thinking about your kids, you're thinking about your family, and you're thinking what kind of legacy you're going to leave behind for your family, what kind of life you're going to provide for your family, and how you're going to, better shape the future for your family. So for a lot of you guys who have kids right now, whether they're, 15 years old, 16 years old, 17 years old, or 6 months old, 7 months old, 8 months old, 5 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old, 13 years old, or fucking 2 weeks old. You know what I mean? People, are having babies all the time right now. So again, shout out to all the parents out there who are listening to me tonight. And by the way, also, I want to do a shout out to all the pregnant mothers who listen to me every night. I wasn't aware of this, but it came through my attention. I got an email this past weekend, over the weekend, And I had 2 pregnant women reach out to me and basically just say, thank you for everything you do, General. Thank you for your podcast. And basically, one of them found out about me through a friend, a coworker at work, and another one found out about me because her husband listens to the podcast. And right now she's staying at home, and she's in her 3rd term right now, getting ready to pop this baby out. And so she's staying at home right now. And her husband said, hey, if you want something to listen to, so you're not just watching, Keeping Up with the Kardashians all fucking day. If you want to do something more productive, so you feel like you're not just, sitting there not doing nothing, you can listen to this podcast I've been listening to. This dude out there in America, in this place called Las Vegas. This couple's in Australia. Shout out to my man Danny for, referring me to them. But, there was a couple out there in Australia basically saying they listen to me. The husband listens to me every day at work, and the wife's at home pregnant. And he said, fuck it, you want something productive to do, might as well listen to this podcast like I'm listening to. And then, maybe in the future after the baby comes and we figure out our finances and, we start to, better understand our income and, what we're going to do for money, in the future, 2-3 years from now, when we're more stable in life, and we have more money to invest in life, we can listen to this guy for a while and, figure out what's, some good stocks to own for the future, not just for our future, but for our kids' future. So that way, later on in life, they could have money to go to college. They could have money to put a down payment on a home. They can have money to fix their credit score. You know what I mean? They can have money to travel the world. They can have money to enjoy a nice life, enjoy a good life, and not have to struggle, in life early, just like their parents did, right? Because I think that's always our responsibility, our duties, our goal, as parents, especially as a man. Like, you want to be able to provide a better life for your family than you had growing up. You know what I mean? And even if it's only marginally better, you always want to provide some kind of a better life, leave them more than, what you were left behind. You know what I mean? So I think that's something that resonates with everybody. So anyway, shout out to all the parents that listen to me out there across the world, worldwide, not just here in the U.S., not just here in America, but, in every country around the world. Whether you're listening to me tonight in Mexico, listening to me tonight in, Puerto Rico, listening to me tonight in Germany, listening to me tonight in France, listening to me tonight in Spain, listening to me tonight in Venezuela, listening to me tonight in Europe, listening to me tonight in Asia, listening to me tonight in China, listening to me tonight in Australia, listening to me tonight in Singapore, South Korea. Shout out to all my subscribers in Guam. Shout out to all my subscribers in Canada. And shout out to all my subscribers, in Venezuela. The list goes on and on. 155,000 subscribers worldwide strong, and you guys, just continue to support me and support this podcast. So anyways, I just wanted to send that positive energy out there, before we begin tonight's podcast, because it really means a lot that so many of you guys are just supporting me around the world every single night and keep telling me to keep doing my thing. And you guys support what I do, you guys support what I'm about, and you guys believe in, me, believe in my message. So anyways, thank you guys. And again, shout out to all the parents one last time, and all the pregnant women listening to me tonight who are, trying to come up on knowledge and try to figure out what's going on in this life, and what kind of life they're going to provide for their baby, once they're born. Because again, this world's a crazy place, and the more you understand it, the better you understand it, the more knowledge you have to understand it, the more prepared you're going to be for it, and most importantly, the more prepared your children are going to be for it. So that's why I always say thank you guys for not just recommending this podcast to your friends, your families, your neighbor, your baby mama, your baby daddy, husband, wife, primo, prima, tia, tío, titiri tia, but also for recommending this podcast to your nieces, your nephews, you know what I mean, your kids, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, you know what I mean, your spouses, your wives, if they're sitting at home, pregnant, right now listening to me tonight. Recommending this to your boyfriend, recommending this to your girlfriend, recommending this to your side chick, recommending this to your, you know what I mean? Like, your side boo, your side thing, whatever it is. Because at the end of the day, I think everyone has one common goal in life. And that's not to live paycheck to paycheck anymore in this life, not to have to work on their hands and knees anymore in this life, and to damn sure make sure that above all else, that their kids don't have to work on their hands and knees for the rest of their life either. But in order for you to avoid that, in order for you to help them, and in order for you to help yourself, you have to understand what's going on in the economy, what's going on in the stock market, what's going on with macroeconomics, what's going on with politics, what's going on with legislation, what's going on with fiscal and monetary policy, what's going on with interest rates, what's going on with mortgage rates, what's going on with businesses, not just nationwide but worldwide, and what's going on in the global economy. And the more you understand this, the more you better understand this, the more you try to understand this, the better you're going to be for it. Not just financially, but emotionally and psychologically, because you're understanding what's going on in the world around you. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you guys for listening to me nationwide and worldwide, and thank you guys for listening to the one, the only, the motherfucking General Magallon Entertainment. With that being said, let us get back to the podcast tonight. So, this war against inflation, and for a lot of you, OG subscribers who've been listening to the podcast for like over a year now, I know a lot of you guys have been listening to this podcast like 2, 3, 4 years now. When the Fed started this war against inflation back basically 13 months ago, April of last year, they basically said, we're not going to stop raising interest rates, and we're not going to start to cut interest rates for sure. And we're not going to stop, this war using interest rates against inflation until inflation comes down below 2%. And when they first started this war against inflation, inflation was like running at 8, 9, almost 10% annually. And everyone across the country was like, ay Dios mío, the fuck is going on over here? And, I always say this for transparency and to put this into context, because a lot of people are quick to point this out to me, like, oh, General, but inflation was going up even before the Fed acknowledged that there was inflation. Inflation was going up back when, in 2020 and 2021 with all that stimulus money and boosted unemployment and, state money, federal state money, state stimulus money. Like, inflation's been going up for a while now. You know what I mean? And I always say, yeah, that's true, that inflation really started to explode. I think inflation started to explode exactly 3 years ago in April of 2020. Because in March of 2020, for those of you guys who remember in the stock market, the pandemic low, in March of 2020, that's when Congress and Senate and, the entire Trump administration and all these central banks around the world and the states got involved. And basically everyone around the world, across Europe, Asia, China, Russia, South America, Australia, every government around the world basically came together and said, look, we're probably going to have to start to do lockdown soon until we figure this out. And for those of you guys who remember, during the early stages of the pandemic, January, February, March, like Europe was already in lockdowns. China was already implementing nationwide lockdowns. Asia was starting to lock down. And so there was a lot of questions on how the global economy would be able to survive this if everyone's just locked down. And that's why we call it the pandemic lows of March of 2020, because in March of 2020, that's when the government came out and basically started to pass things like, boosted unemployment, and they started to come out with the stimulus checks, and then, states started thinking about doing their own stimulus checks, and we started coming out with the PPP loans and, all that other bullshit. And basically there was an explosion of free money, right? Like it was just free money. You get a check, you get a check, you get a stimmy, and you get a stimmy, and you get a stimmy, and you bitch ass get a stimmy, and everybody get a stimmy everywhere. And, again, I'm not knocking it. Like, I understand why they did it. Could we say, looking in hindsight, which is always 2020, right? Go figure. No pun intended. But hindsight 2020, like, was it too much? Yeah, obviously. But I understand why they did it, because, again, just to bring it back real quick, I remember in 2020, Elizabeth Warren, AOC, Bernie Sanders, the whole fucking liberal crew. I know some of you guys think they're clowns, but they still hold important positions in government. And I remember, I think it was Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders, one of the two. They came out and said in 2020, and I'll always remember this because I thought it was a great way to contextualize it. Even if I didn't agree with it, I understood where they were coming from. And I think in politics, that's sometimes it's important to understand. You don't always have to agree with the politicians, but at the very least, at a bare minimum, you should understand the politicians. Even if you don't agree with their perspective, you don't agree with their viewpoint, you don't agree with their fucking opinions, okay? That's fine. We all have a right to disagree. We should disagree, right? We're not fucking robots all programmed the same way. We all have different life perspectives. We all have different life experiences. We all have different upbringings. We all have different opinions. We all have different, life philosophies. So we shouldn't agree on everything. It shouldn't be that way. That's stupid. I think people are doing that more and more now just because they're, they don't know how to debate. They don't know how to have a healthy debate. They don't know how to have a discussion. Everyone just wants to shoot each other these days. But anyways, Elizabeth Warren, I think it was her, or Bernie, maybe it was him, one of the two, they came out and said, because I think people were asking them, don't you think you're printing too much stimulus money? And I think it might have been Bernie now that I think about it. He clapped back with his old ass, got his little cane out, started whooping people's ass in the media, and said, what's funny is every single recession, because 2020 was technically a recession during lockdowns, of course, right? Even though we printed stimulus money to bail ourselves out of it, which is now what's kicking us in the ass, go fucking figure. But the point is, we're going through, obviously, an imminent recession if the whole global economy shuts down. And Bernie, at this time, Bernie Sanders says this. He says, in every recession in American history, the only people that have ever really been bailed out are the banks and the CEOs, basically all the rich people. And he's like, really think about this, America. In every single recession in American history, for the most part, there's always been a bailout. And when there's been a bailout, who always gets bailed out the most? The banks, the hedge funds, the CEOs, the important people, the rich people. But how many times do the poor people ever get bailed out? Never, right? Like never. They've never been bailed out. And he even criticized Obama, which he rarely does. Bernie Sanders never really says anything negative about Obama because they're on the same side of the aisle, right? Team Blue, and you guys know I don't give a fuck about Team Blue. I don't give a fuck about Team Red. Both of them can kiss my ass. I'm Team Green. I'm Team Mula. I'm Team Dinero. Because at the end of the day, only thing I care about is my family, God, and my portfolio. Because I feel like that's the only thing that's going to take me ahead in life is God, my family, and my portfolio, my motherfucking bank account. And at the end of the day, I feel like all these politicians on the left and the right, they don't give a shit about any of us. All they're doing is whatever their campaign donors told them to do because they're the ones who paid for them to be there to begin with. So I feel like most 99.9% of these politicians, right? And there might be one or two that might not be corrupt, but, for the most part, I think they're all corrupt as fuck. But the point is 99.9% of these politicians, in my opinion, they don't do what they want to do. They don't do what they believe in. They do what they're fucking paid to do. They do what they're paid to believe in. Again, whoever paid for their campaign, that's usually what they go with. You know what I mean? Because again, the campaign donors, which, usually happens to be the banks or the medias or the hedge funds or the mutual funds or some billionaire somewhere. These are the people that pay for these people to get elected, to pay for their campaigns, to pay for their stupid ass ads on TVs and on Pandora and on the radio and on Facebook and on YouTube and Netflix, whatever. You know what I mean? Like they're the ones who pay for all these stupid ass ads and commercials we see all the time. So, these big campaign donors who are all mostly billionaires or billionaire empires, right? Media corporations, large businesses, Fortune 500, you know what I mean? Like the creme de la creme, these guys, Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, World Economic Forum, you all have your conspiracy theories, but I feel like they're the ones who paid and selected these people to get elected and to get, quote unquote, elected and voted in to begin with. And at the end of the day, I just feel like they're not looking out for our best interest as the people. I feel like they're looking out for their best interest as businessmen and CEOs and campaign donors with their campaign donations. So anyways, though, Bernie Sanders made a really good point and said, when's the last time the people have ever been bailed out in a recession? And he said, never. It's never happened. Every time there's a recession, whether the U.S. government causes it, which is like 99% of the time, or some kind of world event causes it, World War II, World War III, immediately after World War I, World War II, and I think even after Vietnam, the U.S. economy always headed into a recession after a world war or some kind of major war. The economy always goes into a recession because you have all these these people, these men and women, these troops coming back home from deployment after serving overseas. Again, World War I, World War II, Vietnam, the list goes on. And then when they come home and try to get their old jobs back, they can't because somebody else already like took those jobs and filled those jobs. And now those corporations, those businesses can't just kick people out just because the men and women, the sailors, the soldiers, the Marines, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, whatever the hell they do. Once these people come back from deployment, like they expect their old jobs back, but their old jobs aren't there anymore because they've been gone for like 4, 5, 6 years, 7, 8 years. So someone else took it. And, they're not going to let that guy go because he's the one that's been showing up to work on time every day for the last 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. So that's unfair to him. And he understands, how to do his job right now, versus all these men and women that come home for overseas. They have to get retrained again. So I understand, why we go into a recession after, some time of a major war, because you have all these people expecting their old jobs back and there's just no jobs available anymore. And then all of a sudden they end up on unemployment, and all of a sudden they're trying to figure out how they can reintegrate themselves into this economy. And again, I can speak on this because I've gone through this myself, being in the Marine Corps. So I understand how that can shock an economy when you have millions and millions of people going overseas to serve in a war that they didn't start to begin with, to die for a war that their country started to begin with, and then to come back home and then everyone call them a fucking murderer, a baby killer, an asshole, a puppet, a pawn inside the government's fucking chessboard. And then they come home just to, get a home and find a job, and, hopefully their wife was faithful. And then everything just goes upside down. They have no home, they have no job, and their wife wasn't faithful. And then they're all like, what the fuck? And then, people in the media want to act all shocked and surprised that the suicide rate in this country among combat veterans, always hits an all-time high after a major war, because they come home and they have nothing. You know what I mean? And then they just feel like they just sacrificed the best years of their lives to come back to a hellhole. Basically, they left one nightmare to go into another nightmare, except this one they can't, get away from. So anyways, so Bernie Sanders basically says, every time there's some kind of recession, whether it's the Great Depression or something in the 70s, the 60s, the 50s, the 40s, the 30s, every fucking recession. And again, since 1929, I think we've had 14 recessions. And this one, if it happens, when it happens, I know there's a big debate about it, and there's a lot of discussion happening whether or not the economy will even go into a recession this year. We'll talk about that later on in another clip. But the point is, we've gone through 14 recessions since 1929. And this one, if it happens, again, there's a lot of debate around this right now. But if and when this recession happens, it will be the 15th recession since 1929. So basically, in the last 100 years, we've had about 14, 15 different recessions. Think about that. In 100 years, we've gone through 14, 15 different recessions. 14 already, 15th one on the way. Basically, less than every 10 years, pretty much almost every decade, we have a motherfucking recession. And again, to Bernie's point, he says, how many times has the U.S. economy ever bailed out the American people during a recession? Never. But how many times do they bail out the campaign donors? How many times do they bail out the CEOs? How many times do they bail out the large corporations? Every single motherfucking time. That's how often it happens. And so he said, you know what? This time we're going to do something different. In this recession, right, because 2020 was technically a recession, right, a flash crash, if you will. But in this recession, we're going to do something different. We're going to do things differently. This time, we're not just going to bail out the campaign donors. This time, we're not just going to bail out the bank CEOs. This time, we're not only bailing out the investors, which, of course, we will. But the point is, they won't be the only ones who get bailed out this time. No. This time, we're going to bail out everybody. This time, we're going to bail out the entire U.S. economy. This time, we're going to bail out every man, woman, and child in the entire global economy. And basically, they introduced the stimulus checks. They introduced it, boosted unemployment. Later on, they introduced child tax credits. Later on, we had state stimulus credits. It just went on and on and on and on and on and on. And I get it. That's what caused inflation to go higher. But the point is, he made a point that said, you know what? We always bail out the rich people. How about this time we bail out the poor people too? We're still going to bail out the rich people because they're always going to get theirs. But this time, we're going to bail out the poor people también, way. It's not just going to be the rich only. This time, it'll be the rich and the poor. Because Lord forbid you don't bail out the rich too. You know you got to, right? Because again, they're the ones who provide all the jobs to begin with. So you have to bail out the rich CEOs. Otherwise, they go down, the entire company goes down, and everyone gets laid off. So you kind of have to bail out the billionaires. There's no way around it. Because otherwise, they go down, the whole ship goes down. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, you never want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Like, you want to throw out the bathwater, but if you do that too, might accidentally throw out the baby as well, and that defeats the purpose. So you have to bail out the billionaire even though you don't want to, because if you don't, then everyone else who works for him, thousands of people, lose their jobs. So it's kind of like, double-edged sword. Like, you have to bail out the billionaires, because otherwise they take their jobs with them. So anyways, and again, it sucks that it has to be that way. But again, I'm not here to tell you the way the world should be. Here to tell you the way the world motherfucking is each and every single night. So thank you for listening. But, Bernie made the point. We're going to bail out everyone, not just the rich people, but the poor people también. Everyone gets a stimulus check. I remember back then they were saying you didn't even have to have a social security number to get a stimulus check. Some states were saying that we're going to give stimulus checks even to illegal aliens, the immigrants, right? So they're like, you don't even have to have papers. As long as you live in a sanctuary city and we have your home and address, we'll send you a stimulus check in the mail too, wait. Like, damn, like they was really sending it out to everybody. And I know a lot of American voters were upset about this because they're like, that's not fair. They don't even have a social security number. They don't pay taxes. But then as soon as like their stock market went up and crypto went up and Bitcoin went fucking bazooka, all of a sudden everyone shuts the fuck up again because now they're happy. You know what I mean? Their real estate went up. So you know what? I might not bitch so much anymore. You know what I mean? As long as I get mine, I'm okay if they get some fucking, some breadcrumbs here and there, right? That's how rich people think. So anyways, so Bernie really made that point and said, you know what? In every recession, we never bail out the people. We only bail out the corporations. We only bail out the hedge funds, the mutual funds, the CEOs, the campaign donors, and all these fucking bitch-ass billionaires. But this time, for this one fucking time, we're going to bail out the people también way. And we're going to bail out everybody in the form of stimulus checks. What's funny is, even though they gave everyone all the stimulus checks and extra money and boosted unemployment and child tax credit and da-da-da-da-da, even though they did that, everyone mostly just spent it on stupid shit. And they spent it on services like Amazon, or goods, products, services, restaurants, bars, nightclubs, Amazon, Walmart, you fucking name it. And who are the people who own all these businesses and companies and large corporations? Oh, that's right, the rich people. So even though you bailed out the people, I get it, bro. But really, where did all that money end up at? In the pockets of the billionaires and the campaign donors and the CEOs. Even for everyone who was trying to invest in Robinhood stocks or Bitcoin or crypto, guess who you had to pay? You had to pay the CEO of Coinbase, the CEO of Robinhood, the CEO of Voyager, and his bitch ass going bankrupt. We'll talk about that later. But the point is, all these large corporations, these large businesses, Jeff Bezos with Amazon, Elon Musk at Tesla, Bill Gates and fucking Microsoft, the list goes on. So the money really just went back to the rich people. So if anything, you just gave them twice as much as you normally would, except this time they actually had to work for it because they had to provide you with a service or a good or a product. But the point is, at the end of the day, that's where all the money went up into. And even if you were buying stocks and stonks and meme stocks and altcoins and shit coins and Bitcoin, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, the people who got paid the most were the ones who got in early to begin with, because they were the ones who got to see their portfolios explode the most. Not the ones who got in late, the ones who got in early. They're the ones who made the most profit, That's why, I remember that story, 2-3 years ago, that one guy, he put I forgot how much it was. He put a bunch of money on Dogecoin back when it was 1 penny or half a penny, and he put $5,000 in it. And then when Dogecoin went from half a penny to almost $1, his $5,000, I forgot what it was. But point is, he became a billionaire, ended up cashing out $2 or $3 billion. And everyone was like, damn, this dude's the first Dogecoin billionaire. He owns more Dogecoin than Elon, bro. Damn. And his portfolio literally went from 5,000 to 5 billion in 2-3 years. And so the people who got in early, the people who were investors, the people who were already invested, they're the ones who made the most money because they're the ones who cashed out on everyone's ass. You know what I mean? That's really how it happened. So anyways, the rich got richer. Point is, the rich got richer. They always get richer. Get over it. Because again, when they have money, when they have disposable income, when they have discretionary spending, they don't spend it on stupid shit. What do? Assets and investments. Assets and investments. Assets and investments. Not blunts, hoes, and loose ass pussy and fucking cheap ass modelo. So it is what it is, right? I can sit here and preach all night, but at the end of the day, like, it's up to you if you're going to listen to me, and it's up to you if you're going to pull the trigger, and it's up to you if you're really going to change your life, or you're going to be in the same place in life 5 years from now, right? Everyone always says they want to get ahead, they want to progress, and they want to level up, and then 5 years later, they're still in the same place in life, and then another 5 years go by, and they're still in the same place in life, and another 5 years go by, and they're still in the same place in life, and now guess what? There's going to be another 5 years that go by, and they're still going to be in the same place in life. So, like I said, I can preach all day and preach to the gospel, but maybe some people really are just meant to work on their hands and knees. They say they want to progress, but do they really? Not really. Anyways, so Bernie made a great point. I really listened to it, and I thought he was dead on. We really just only bail out the rich people. We never bail out the poor people. So for once, let's actually bail out the poor people. The problem was, now we know, two things happen. One, it causes inflation. And two, the money really just ended up going back to the rich people. So he didn't really change shit. I mean, he did, because we finally had money and all the poor people were so happy. We got stimulus and child tax credit and boosted unemployment, and I didn't have to go to work no more, and fuck my bitch ass supervisor, fuck that bitch ass company, fuck my bitch ass landlord. I don't even got to pay my rent on time anymore. I'm just going to party and kick it and smoke it, and you know what I mean? Whoop-de-whoop, and yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm going to turn up every weekend. I don't got to pay my rent no more. Like, people really had that mindset. They had that mentality. You guys remember it. Y'all see it. So, now we know what happens when you just give a bunch of people just a bunch of fucking money. And I know some people would say, well, that's obvious that was going to happen. Yeah, but, sometimes people need to get their ass whooped to understand what it feels like. And so now the government understands, like, okay, yeah, that did not work out. All we did was just make the rich people richer, and now we have this thing called inflation. So ain't that about a bitch? Now, going back to inflation now. Inflation, a lot of people always point this out to me, and I get it. Inflation started going up in April of 2020, because March of 2020, that's when you get boosted unemployment. That's when you get stimulus checks. Later on, a year later, you get child tax credit. And it's all direct deposit. You don't even have to wait for a check in the mail anymore. Everything's digital now. You know what I mean? So it was just like bada bing, bada boom, direct deposited, like at 15th of the month or some shit like that. And that's why in April of 2020, inflation started to go higher. And then after that, every single month, inflation was going higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. But why didn't we really talk about inflation back then? Why wasn't anyone in the stock market talking about inflation back then? Why wasn't anyone really bringing up the idea of inflation back then? Easy. Because the Fed wanted to pretend like it didn't exist. The Federal Reserve back then in 2020, 2021, they were saying shit like it's transitory, it's here one day, it's going to be gone the next day. Just like Trump said about COVID, he says it's going to be here one day and it's going to be gone the next day. And, they basically made it sound like inflation is not that bad. It's going to come down on its own. We don't have to worry about it. It's going to disappear. Da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. And then eventually we get to 2022 and it didn't disappear, And instead of raising interest rates back in 2020, 2021 at the very least, they left interest rates at damn near zero because they said, nah, everything's fine. It's okay. It's not that bad. Da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. And then we get to 2022 and they're like, damn, inflation is actually starting to get worse. 2020, it started to spike up to like 4, 5, 6%. 2021, it started to go up to like 6, 7, 8, 9%. So at 2022, they were like, okay, now shit's fucked up. If inflation only goes up 1 or 2%, no big deal. We can deal with it. But inflation literally was going up like 1.5% a year. And then it almost went up to like 10% a year, year over year. And eventually they had to say, okay, it's enough. Now it's time to kill this shit before it starts to get out of hand. Let's start to raise interest rates. But for the American people, I think the reason they didn't really witness it or they didn't really experience it was because it's hard to take inflation seriously back in 2020, 2021 when all you're doing is getting free money. So a lot of people will say, well, back in 2020, 2021, rent prices were going up a shit ton, and food prices and this prices, and everything was just so much more expensive in 2020, 21. Yeah, but you want to know why no one ever talked about it back then? Or they might have referenced it or mentioned it, but no one actually took it seriously? You want to know why? Because when you're getting an extra $250 to $350 per kid, when you're getting a $1,300, $1,400 stimulus check and direct deposited into your bank account every 2 or 3 months, whether it was from Papa Trump or Uncle Biden, it was always a stimulus check. I swear it was every 3-4 months, right? Because didn't Trump send out 3 stimulus checks? I think he sent one more out right before the election just to help him pump up his numbers. Because every time you send people a stimulus checks, they're more willing to vote for you again. You know how that shit is. But I remember Trump sent out 2 or 3 stimulus checks, and then Biden sent out another 2 or 3, and then the states started to get involved, fucking bitch-ass California and New York, and they started sending people out an extra fucking $600-700 just for fucking living there. Remember that shit? Here's $700 so you guys can survive inflation. Okay, what do you think that's going to do? It's just going to make it worse. Sangano. Fuck, I'm telling you, none of these politicians ever took a course on economics. Or they understood what was happening in the economy, but they just didn't give a fuck because their campaign donors paid for it to happen. I don't know. Just saying, America. I don't know. Might have to think about this again. Don't want to make this a conspiracy theory, but again, it's either they were too stupid to see the ramifications and consequences of their actions, or they knew exactly what they were doing, but they just didn't care. They just didn't give a fuck because their campaign donors paid for it to happen. So again, it can go either way. Either way, I don't like it. I don't want the truth to be that they're just this stupid and we can't find anyone smarter to be elected official in America. But I also don't want it to be true that the campaign donors actually just have that much power in this country. I think both of those scenarios scare me. We either have cooking ass clowns and morons and dipshits running the country, or it's so fucking corrupt that all of them are just a fucking clown show, a rodeo show, and the people who are really controlling the strings behind the show are the campaign donors that we never hear about. So I think both of those scenarios actually scare me. You know what I mean? But I think the second one probably makes more sense to me. Because I don't know. I'm not saying politicians are the smartest people in the room, but come on. You can't be this fucking dumb and stupid. So anyways, inflation was already going up. Yes, it's true. It was going up in 2020, 2021. But again, when you're getting that much fucking stimulus money, people getting paid to stay at home and not do nothing, just sit on their ass and get their wife pregnant all day, because that's what most people were honestly just doing in the pandemic. They were just smoking and fucking every day. But the point is, man, that much fucking stimulus, that much fucking extra money, that much fucking mula, feria, dinero, and it was every month, direct deposit, stimulus checks every 2-3 months, stimulus or state stimulus every 4, 5, 6 months. It was just non-stop, just money, 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 mula, dinero, mula, dinero, mula, dinero, feria, everywhere. And it was always direct deposited. No one had to do anything. As long as you were fucking alive, you were getting extra money. And then a lot of people, they went to go work under the table, work a side hustle, work a side job, not reported on their taxes. So that way they can collect boosted unemployment and make money on the side. Shit, no mames. No wonder everyone got money to spend money on stupid shit, which I didn't care. Me and my VIP subscribers and all my regular subscribers back in 2020, 21, we didn't care. We didn't give a shit. We didn't give a flying fuck. Want to know why? We were making too much money in the stock market. We were making money on Bitcoin. We were making money on crypto. We were making money on the meme stocks. We were making money on the SPAC stocks. We was making money on penny stocks, man. Back in the day, woo, we was tapping those cheeks. We were just fucking dogging the shit out this market. Woo! Just pounding that ass every fucking week, every night, every month. We're making so much money on the fucking podcast back then, man. And sometimes I just be awake at night and I just be praying to God that one day we go back to zero interest rate environment. Could you imagine? Shoo! Oh my God. I'm salivating just thinking about that shit. Like, if we could just go back to that time where every day stocks were going up 10% a day, like, we couldn't deposit money quick enough back then, man. Like, we was waiting for that stimulus just so we could throw more money at shit back then, man. Like, it just kept going up, you know? Like, it was fucking amazing. It was like a blessing in life, man. I'm never gonna forget it. It was good times, you know. Now, everyone just got a bitch-ass attitude. Everyone's upset. Everyone's mad. Everyone's angry. Everyone's frustrated. Everyone's depressed. Everyone's, you know, fuck you and you and you. And fuck all your friends, too. Like, everyone's just... I see it, man. Every time I go outside, every time I go somewhere, every time I... You know, like, I'm scared to go on vacation this summer. I feel like I'm going to go to fucking Knott's Berry Farm or Six Flags with my kids or Disneyland or something. And I'm going to go there and I'm going to see some motherfucker just looking at me sideways. I'm going to see someone with a fucking bitch-ass attitude. I'm going to see someone try to fucking, you know what I mean? Like, roll up on me. I'm like, damn, bro, calm down. Like, I know you're frustrated because your life isn't what you wanted it to be. It didn't turn out like you expected it. You know what I mean? Your life sucks more now than it did a year ago. I get it, bro, but fuck. You know, like, don't get mad at me. Don't take it out on me. Don't be fucking, you know what I mean? Go at me. What'd I do, bro? I'm an innocent civilian here. I'm a bystander. I'm just here trying to live my best life, help poor people get to financial freedom and financial independence, the land where they could do what the fuck they want, when the fuck they want, because they write their own fucking paychecks in life, because their fucking portfolio works for them now, because money works for them now, because they understand the power of compound interest now. But instead, now it's like, fuck, I go to Costco, people just looking mad at me. Why? Because I can afford to buy more food for my family than you? Like, don't be mad. I hate that shit, man. Every time I go to a fucking grocery store, you know, I load up, you know what I mean? I got a wife, I got kids, so, you know, I stack the fuck up, and I can afford to get steaks, I can afford to get the lobster, I can afford the filet mignon, I can afford the big fat ass shrimp, I can afford the fucking premium steak, like, you know what I mean? But I load up on that shit, because I do what the fuck I want when I'm at Costco, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna get mine, trust me, you could believe that shit, America. But then other people who, you know what I mean, like, I have less money than me, you know, I want to sound, you know, be an asshole about it, but, you know, a lot of people have less money than me. They look at me and, you know, they look at my grocery cart and they're like, this nigga, man, fuck him. I can't believe he bought all that steak. He bought all that shrimp and lobster. He getting all the snacks for his kids. I can't even get one fucking snack for my kid. And his kids over there, they getting everything. They don't even got to ask for shit. They just put it in the cart. I'm like, yeah, that's true. My kids want something. They know I get it for them. I'll buy it for them if they really need it. Now, if it's some stupid shit, then I'm kind of like, you're not really going to play with this. I want to spend money on this if you're not even going to play with it. Because then we end up with all this bullshit in the house and I got to keep throwing things away. That's kind of annoying. But for the most part, if they really need something, they really want something, I get it for them. You know what I mean? Like, that's literally why I work so hard in the stock market every fucking night, 16 hours a night, till the body drop on the fucking living room floor. Like, I really push myself to the limits every single night. That's why I have to drink so many Monsters and Red Bulls and energy drinks and fucking, you know, this and that. And I know it's not healthy for me, but I don't give a fuck. I'm maxing out my potential now, so later on I don't have to work, you know, ever again. You know what I mean? Like, and again, like, I'm not going to stop until I accomplish my mission, 100 million, you know? I think probably 4 or 5 years away, but, you know, I'm not going to stop until we get there. Until then, it's just fucking grinding. So anyways, long story short, you know, I feel like people just have an attitude now all around me. Like, I'm not talking about subscribers or VIPs or clients or none of that shit. I'm talking about regular people at Costco, regular people at Walmart, regular people when they put gas at the gas station now. Like, anytime I go anywhere now, everyone's just frustrated and upset and angry and pissed off and depressed. And, you know what I mean? Like, I hate that negative energy, man. I hate that shit. That's why I don't like to talk to, like, friends and family about money, because I feel like it just starts to get depressing and shit in life. You know what I mean? They start telling me how hard their life is. And I'm like, I get it, bro. But, you know, when you were getting all that stimulus money, you said you didn't give a fuck. You said, I'm getting paid now. You know, back in a 0% interest rate environment, sub 3% mortgage rate environment, fucking stock market environment back then, and that stimulus forever environment, boosted unemployment to the day I die environment. Remember that shit? Like, you know, people wanted just to, like, you know, they were happy, but they were spending money on stupid shit. Now they're over here and they regret that they spent all that money on stupid shit. But instead of being upset at themselves, they be mad at me now. Like, oh, fuck you, dog. What you looking at? I'm like a loser, apparently. Fuck. Mad at me for it, dog. Hey, my thought you live at your mama house, dog. You almost 29. You a fucking burnt bitch, but you want to get mad at me. Like, you know, look at all these life decisions you made along the way to just like fuck up your life, fuck up your credit score, fuck up your finances, fuck up your bank account, fumble the fucking bag away time after time after time after time. But you want to be mad at me at the gas station. Like, bro, who the fuck are you? Ah, you're a broke bitch. Get away from me. Shoo, get away. Nasty ass fucking cockroaches, man. But I'm telling you, like, that's honestly how I feel sometimes. I feel like every time I go out, every time I go somewhere, and I know the summer's going to get worse because, you know, I'm going to pull up to the fucking penthouse suite. I'm going to get the good hotel room, the nice hotel room. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to the restaurant. I'm going to go to the steakhouse. I'm going to take my kids somewhere nice, you know, and I feel like there's going to be people looking at me like, this fucking Mexican, what's he doing here? We all have to work hard for our money. And I'll be looking at them smiling like, you still work for money? Ah, what a loser. Oh, you're not supposed to work for money. How stupid can you be? You're supposed to make money work for you, not the other way around. Ah, Bob, so like, you know, I don't care. I'm going to carry that with me. No. You know, because they had their opportunity. They had their chance and they chose to fumble it. So, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to feel sorry for people. Again, like, I feel like there's a lot of people just upset with themselves, upset at life, angry at me, angry at the stock market, angry at fucking Biden, angry at Trump, upset with the Federal Reserve, mad about the macro environment we find ourselves in. And I'm like, bro, don't mean you got to take it out on me or other people. Like, yo, work harder. Fuck, work smarter. Like, what do you want me to tell you? You know what I mean? So, anyways, though. So, yeah, and so because of that, by the way, side note, that's also why I believe inflation will go higher this summer. Because when I talk to a lot of my rich people, when I talk to a lot of my VIPs, when I talk to a lot of my clients who are whales and mega whales, and I ask them what they're going to do this summer, you want to know what they all tell me? The same fucking shit. Oh, I'm going to go traveling. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go on vacation. I'm going to go to the club. I'm going to go to Vegas. I'm going to go visit you in Vegas, General. I have a lot of people return to visit me this summer, by the way. It's going to be, I think it's going to be awesome. But, you know, oh, I'm going to go here, there, Cancun, Hawaii, Honolulu, Puerto Rico. I'm going to go to Jamaica. I got a lot of friends who are talking about doing trips to Mexico this summer. A lot of people told me they went to Europe last summer or Asia last summer. I know a lot of people who are just traveling the world right now. And I think you guys see them too. Not just on Facebook, but like Twitter, Instagram, everywhere. There's a lot of people who are traveling right now. There's a lot of people who are on vacation right now. You know, and I'll be looking at them like, you know, I'm not trying to be thirsty or nothing, but like I look at people, I'm like, damn, this motherfucker's really at the racetrack. Damn, this motherfucker's really on a private island somewhere. Damn, this motherfucker's really on a private yacht. Damn, this motherfucker's really going on a cruise. Damn, this motherfucker really bought a new Mercedes Benz. Damn, like I'm looking at again. My VIP subscribers, my clients, my whales, my mega whales, my fucking megalodon whales, and you know what I mean? And I talk to a lot of rich people. Again, I probably have at least 300-400 millionaires that I talk to, you know, around the world, and you know, and in different industries, different sectors, because I'm always communicating, I'm always networking, I'm always trying to talk to new people. So they might not all be friends of mine. Some of them are just kind of like acquaintances, or some of them are just like random people I talk to. But again, I'm networking, you know what I mean? So even if we're not really good friends right now, doesn't mean we can't be in the future. Because again, I'm not trying to sit here all day and just talk to broke people. You know what I mean? Like, I'm really trying to like network all fucking day, every day. You know what I mean? This is my 9 to 5. Just fucking make money and talk to people who know how to make money work for us, you know? So, you know, I talk to all these millionaires and multi-millionaires, and I talk to all these rich peoples with the, you know, Mercedes-Benz, Beamer-Benz, or Bentleys, you know what I mean? And I'm talking to these people, and I'm all like, what are you doing this summer? What are you doing this summer? What are you doing with your portfolio? What are you going to do with your accounts? What are you going to do with this? What are you going to do that? What's going on in your businesses? You know, we have these discussions all the time on a nightly, weekly, monthly basis. And right now, all of my whales and mega whales are literally, I swear to God, they're telling me the same thing across the board. Vacation, traveling, going out, parties, taking shots, strip club, ass shots. You know what I mean? Like, they're over here just fucking bitches, traveling the world, taking vacations, you know what I mean? Going to strip clubs, you know what I mean? Fucking bad bitches left and right, you know what I mean? Partying, going to the club, going to private islands, going on yachts, going on a cruise, like, they're doing all of this shit. And I'm over here looking at them, like I see them. I see their pictures that they post up, and they're over there taking selfies. You know what I mean? All these fucking thotties out there, and I'm just like, damn, this dude ain't playing. By the way, shout out to the Crown King. I know you guys are waiting for another mega whale story. I think I'll come out with part 2 soon. But anyway, shout out to King, man, out there, just living his best life somewhere. I forgot where he's at now. I think he's like in Singapore or somewhere in Asia. And he got like the most premium fucking suite with like the jacuzzi in the back, like everything. And you know what I mean? He's literally just like, he's running a train out there, let's just say. So shout out to the King, man. That dude's an OG. Love him. Glad to call him a friend of mine. But anyways, I feel like a lot of people are going to be traveling this summer. I feel like a lot of people are going to go out this summer, and I feel like a lot of people are just going to be enjoying their best life this summer. So because of that, because the upper middle class and above, not poor people are in a recession. Poor people are struggling. Poor people are maxing out credit card. Poor people are pulling out loans. Poor people work 2 to 3 jobs right now. Again, we talked about this article that I read last week, where like the average American works 3 jobs right now. Because most jobs aren't full-time, they're only part-time. So most people, in order to survive, they have to work 2 or 3 jobs that are all part-time. A lot of people have a side hustle. A lot of people have a weekend hustle. A lot of people just have a spare hustle. And the average American's doing like 2, 3 jobs right now. So again, poor people screwed. Poor people getting destroyed. Poor people getting annihilated. And that's why a lot of poor people are living, moving back home with their mom and dad right now. Because they can't afford to live on their own. The problem is, when they move back home with their mom and dad, they're not saving that money. They're just spending that money. So I think poor people are still going to go out this summer. Not because they financially can afford to, but they're doing everything they can to make sure that they have some money to be able to. So again, a lot of poor people, what they do is, they'll do something like they'll live with like 3 or 4 roommates. They'll move in with their parents. They'll move in at the in-laws' house. But none of them are saving anything. None of them are fixing their situation. All they're doing is just fucking living for today, not thinking about tomorrow because they don't give a fuck. And that's why most poor people are going to be poor forever. And then you have like the lower middle class. They're getting destroyed. They're getting annihilated. They're basically screwed. So I think middle class and below is just death and destruction right now. But they're basically doing anything and everything they can to make sure that they have some money to spend this summer. And so that's why none of them are going to fix their credit scores. None of them are going to use it for investing, and none of them are going to use it to better their future. They're just going to try to have fun this summer. And again, that's why some people will stay poor forever. And then the upper middle class and above, they just don't care. I think they're just going to party. They're going to have fun. They're going to go on vacations because they can afford to have fun this summer. So I think everyone, whether you can or can't afford to, are going to find a way to. And, the rich people who just got it like that, they just don't give a fuck about what's happening in the macro environment right now. So I think there's going to be a lot of people traveling and a lot of people having fun this summer. And because of that, I think inflation will go higher this summer. I don't think it's going to fucking cool down. I don't think it's going to slow down. I think you're going to see another massive eruption. And then the Fed's going to be forced to make a decision this summer in the June interest rate hike, and then even in the August, FOMC, interest rate hike, what they're going to do with interest rates. Because if I'm right, I don't see a slowdown happening. And by the way, yeah, there's a lot of people you're seeing a lot of job losses and a lot of layoffs right now, but most people don't care because most people just work part-time jobs anyways. So now I think the reason the unemployment rate is so low, and I'm going to talk about this on the next clip, but I think part of the reason the unemployment rate is so low is because most people are fine working 3 jobs if they're all part-time than working 1 job that's 40 hours a week. I think most people just don't care. They're just like, okay, whether it's 1 full-time job that, pays me 40 hours a week, or I work 2 part-time jobs that do 20 hours each a week. And then I'll find a third side hustle too. And so I think the reason the unemployment rate partially is so low is because everyone's just accepted that they need to work more than 1 job in order to survive right now. Everyone's accepted that you have to work 2 or 3 jobs just to stay afloat right now. And I think everyone's just accepted the fact that they're going to work instead of 40 hours a week like it used to be. Most Americans are working 50, 60, 70 hours a week across 2 or 3 jobs. And they think it's acceptable. As long as they have money to party this summer, it's all going to be all right. Telling you, poor people mentality. You know what I mean? And then they show up to the club, trying to impress these hoes with a fake Rolex watch. You know what I mean? Talk about, they're driving their mama's car, but fuck it. You know what I mean? They'll still, as long as they can, attempt to pull some pussy, that's all they really care about, right? You know what I mean? Blunts, hoes, loose ass pussy, and modelos. That's, you know what I mean? Poor people mindset. So, anyways, I kind of see that for this summer. And so this summer, when it comes to inflation, I was already expecting that inflation was going to go higher this summer. That was already my baseline. That was already my base case. And that's why I kept saying I expect more and more interest rate hikes on the way, not just what the bond market is pricing in, which the bond market's always moving the goalpost anyways. The bond market said, oh, we're not going to get any rate hikes after December. Okay, no, we'll get one more after December, but then after that they're going to pause. Okay, no, we'll get two more after December, then we're going to pause. Okay, we're going to get three more after December, but then we're going to pause. Okay, now we're going to get four more after December, and then we're going to, it's like, bro, stop. Like, everyone that's been calling for a Fed pivot or, an imminent rate cut or, you know what I mean? The Fed's going to stop soon. Like, stop, and then even if they do stop, it doesn't mean that they won't raise interest rates. Even if they do pause this summer, which I think they probably would, they probably should. Well, I wouldn't say should, but they probably will. Even if they do that this summer, it doesn't mean that they won't raise interest rates again in the fall. You know what I mean? Because I think that's the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario isn't that they keep raising rates this summer. The worst case scenario, in my opinion, is that the Fed actually does a pause in the summer in June and then watches inflation skyrocket throughout the whole summer, not just in the economy, but also when the stock market starts to go wild, Bitcoin starts to pump up again, feels like it's trying everything it can to break 30K again. And then watch all that shit happen and transpire. And then in the fall, they say, oh, nope, inflation came back too high. We're not below 2%. No. And they come back with more rate hikes this fall. Yeah, I think that's the worst case scenario. To me, if they just keep raising rates the rest of this year, I don't think that's the worst case. The worst case is they give you a pause. The worst case is they give you a fake pump. The worst case is if they give you that fake ass love. And then they come back and just in the end, just backstab you. I think that's worse. You know what I mean? I rather, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like life. I'd rather someone just be an asshole from the jump to begin with than someone try to be my friend and tell me they love me, tell me they care about me, tell me that they're fucking down the ride with me. And then at the last second when I need them the most, that's when they try to fuck me. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather just meet the asshole that's just up front with me and just tells me he doesn't like me. And I think that's what the Fed's trying to do. The Fed's, I fear that the Fed's going to come out with that fake love, tell the market we're going to pause in the summer, inflation's coming down, inflation's going well, the war on inflation's almost over, ¿sabes qué? We're about to declare victory soon, ¿sabes qué? We got this, dog, we got this stock market, inflation's just going to keep going lower all summer and all fall, and it's just going to fall to 2% magically. And then all of a sudden, if they pause in the summer and inflation in the stock market and Bitcoin and real estate and crypto and everything skyrockets this summer, then all of a sudden they're like, oh, Dios mío, no, ¿qué pasó? Why did we let this happen? Oh my God, who could have seen this coming? Oh my God, why didn't anyone predict this coming? And then they come out in the fall, in August, September, October, November, December, and just start whooping that ass. And then I think that's when the whole thing just fucking tanks and goes to fucking hell in a handbasket. But anyways, from now until then, we'll see. We'll see. So anyways, going back to, let me tackle core inflation, but let me finish the last bit real quick, which was inflation was going up in 2020, 2021 already because of all that stimulus. And again, Bernie was right. We always bail out the government. We always bail out the CEOs. We always bail out the hedge funds. But no, Lord forbid, we bail out the Americans. They wanted to be the first Congress or the first Senate ever to fully bail out the economy, and not just the rich people, but also the poor people también. Okay, I get where you're coming from. I understand your perspective. Again, doesn't mean I have to agree with it, but at the bare minimum, I want to understand it. I want to see where you're coming from in life. You know what I mean? Again, in order to have a healthy debate in life, in order to have a healthy discussion, you have to be able to see and understand both sides of the aisle, even if you don't agree with it. At least fucking understand what's happening in the world around you, where other people are coming from, what's happening. Again, I don't just talk to rich people, I also talk to poor people. Just so happens they piss me the fuck off, because every time I ask them if they're saving money, they always tell me some stupid shit. Oh, well, the homie invited me out with him last week, and I'm like, whatever. You're just meant to be poor. Stay poor then, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, again, I can't help you if you won't take my hand, and I can't teach you if you won't listen. You know what I mean? Like I said, you know what I mean? Jesus, I'm telling you, and I know I say this a lot, but God will put everything in your life to help you get ahead. But if you just keep telling him to fuck off, then why should he keep trying? You're lucky he fucking loves you to death, because I don't. So anyways, you know what I mean? Again, Jesus died on the cross for all of us, and some of you still won't accept him into your life. So, you know, and that's why I always say I'm not trying to be him. I want to be like Noah's Ark instead. I'm going to save a couple here, save a couple there. The rest of you bitches can drown in debt forever. So anyways, though, and I know that's ruthless. I know that's fucking aggressive, but I don't care. I'm a wartime general. I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to be your fucking wartime leader. And this is a fucking recession, especially for most of you. Not all of you. Rich people gonna be alright, but most of you ain't rich. Most of you guys don't drive a Mercedes-Benz. Most of you listening to me tonight have to take the bus to work. Most of you listening to me tonight have to carpool to work. Most of you listening to me tonight probably have to walk to work. So let's not act like everyone in America drives a fucking Bentley. Get the fuck out of here. Most of you listening to me tonight do not. Most of you listening to me tonight take public transportation. And that's not to make fun of you. That's just to be, real with you. So anyways, you know what I mean? And I'm not here to sound like Andrew Tate either. Like, oh, where's your Bugatti at? You know what I mean? I'm just, again, trying to tell you what's really happening out there. And most Americans do not drive a Mercedes-Benz. That's all I'm trying to say. So anyways, though, but it won't stop them from spending money this summer. That's for sure. So, yeah, going back to Bernie's bitch ass, look, he came out, said, okay, we're going to try to bail out all the poor people. We're going to try to do this for the first time in this economy. And we're really going to help out, everyone, not just the rich people, but the poor people as well. And now they found out that, well, eventually at the end of the day, all that money really just went back to the rich people because they're the ones that own all the businesses and products and services and strip clubs and restaurants and bars and hookah bars. Like, they're the ones who own all that shit. You know what I mean? They're all entrepreneurs. So eventually that money really just went back to the rich people. Now, to be fair, they actually had to earn that money because they had to provide services. They had to provide goods. They had to provide something for you guys to give them your money. So they just didn't get free money, right? They had to do something for it this time. But eventually all that money really just went back into their fucking pocketbook anyway. So it didn't really change anything, And then the second thing is it caused inflation. And again, 2020, 2021, inflation was already running wild starting in April of 2020 after the boosted unemployment was passed. But the problem was no one really gave a shit. No one really gave a fuck. Why? Because when you're getting all that stimulus, when you're getting all that free money, when you're getting unlimited dinero, feria, plata, whatever you want to call it, just moolah coming from the ceiling week after week, month after month, fucking direct deposit here, direct deposit there. You don't even got to wait for a check in the mail no more. Nah, it's a new digital world, digital economy, digital environment. Fuck no, everyone's just getting paid just to sit home and get pregnant. No, I'm just kidding. Not really. But, in that kind of environment, yeah, was hotel prices going up? Absolutely. Restaurant prices going up? Absolutely. Fucking club prices going up? Absolutely. Food prices going up? Absolutely. Rent prices starting to explode up? Absolutely. But again, when you're getting an extra $200, $350 per month per kid on top of state stimulus, on top of federal stimulus, on top of boosted unemployment, on top of the fucking PPP loans that everyone just used for themselves, all that fucking free money. Like, does anyone care that a gallon of milk costs an extra $1? Does anyone care that the price of eggs almost doubled? Does anyone care that their rent prices went up an extra $150? Did anyone really give a fuck? No, because all we're doing is getting paid up in here. And then on top of that, everyone's throwing all that shit on the stock market and crypto and Bitcoin and Dogecoin and Shibu and GameStop and AMC and this shit and that shit and the other fucking coin shit. And everything just keeps doubling and tripling and doubling and tripling and doubling and tripling. And Bitcoin was supposed to go to 100,000, but that bitch ass did it. And everyone was giving fake love and everyone's portfolio was going higher and everyone was talking about generational wealth and everyone was talking about getting rich up in here. All right, who gives a fuck if the rent went up an extra $150? I'm about to be a millionaire. Mama, I made it. I'm not a loser no more. I fucking made it. I found a way out. Listen to the general. We're making good now. Everyone was happy. Everyone was smiling. So inflation was going higher, but nobody cared. Why? Because you were getting so much fucking money. So that's why no one talked about inflation in 2021, 2020, and 2021. And the Fed wanted to sit up there with a straight face and said, nah, it's okay. Let the kids have fun. Inflation will come down by itself. Let the kids have some sugar. Let the kids drink some soda. Let the kids have some ice cream this summer. And then all of a sudden the sugar crash is going to happen and then we're going to put their ass to sleep. But then you want to know what? They didn't fucking crash. They ended up drinking more soda, having more ice cream, and having more snacks to eat. You gave the fucking 6-year-old a 9-hour energy. Now he's on Call of Duty all night. Pew, 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 pew. Bang, 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 bang. Bazooka. You know? And so now the Fed's over here like, all right, motherfuckers, night, night. Time for y'all to bring this inflation down. Time for y'all to go to bed. Time for y'all to shut the fuck up. Talking about making money. Bitch, you're poor. Get back to working on your hands and knees. You know your ass gonna show up to work on Monday. I don't know what y'all talking about. And so the Fed finally in 2022 had to say, no, 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 no. Inflation too high. You bitches weren't supposed to spend all this money. I mean, damn. But again, Congress and Senate want to sit here and act surprised like, oh my gosh, they really spent all that money and they made inflation go higher. And really all we did was just make the rich people go higher. Oh my God. Why didn't anyone tell me about this? Why didn't anyone predict this would happen? Again, America, they're either too stupid to understand simple economics or they fucking knew it. And the campaign donors made it happen. It's one of the two. I don't know which one it is. I think I have a feeling it's the latter. But it is what it is. So, anyways, we wrap up this podcast. I feel like I've been doing a lot of teaching tonight. I hope you guys appreciate this. So, 2022, the Fed says, all right, no more stimmy, no more boosted unemployment. You guys got to go back to work now. We have work in the morning. Better show up to work on Monday morning because you don't got no more boosted unemployment. Child tax credit's gone. You're going to have to feed your own fucking raggedy ass day kids, okay? We're not going to give you an extra $200-$300 per kid, all right? You're going to have to buy your own fucking lunch boxes, your own fucking sandwiches, your own juice boxes, okay? Provide for those kids your damn self, okay? You're the one that got pregnant. So, the government came out and said, no more. Inflation's way too high. It's hurting people specifically on fixed income, who happen to be what? The majority of voters in this country. Remember that. Always remember that. Fixed income is who ends up getting hurt the most in this country by inflation, and they're the biggest voters in this country. Always remember that. So anyways, and the campaign donors know that. So 2 things to remember. Fixed income is getting destroyed by inflation the most, and campaign donors understand this the most. Always remember that. So anyways, that's for some of you who are wondering why inflation is such a big deal. That's why. So anyways, where were we? So yeah, I think, Fed came out and they did what they did. I not only became a bear, but I became a mega bear. And I said, you know what? Fuck this shit. They're trying to get inflation back beneath 2%. Yeah, good luck with that shit. Fuck no. The rich people got too much money. The rich people got paid. And then these poor people, they got used to living such a nice lifestyle in the upper middle room. Something we talked about at the podcast on nauseam. There was a lot of people who were a broke bitch prior to the pandemic. And then all of a sudden, 2020, 2021, during COVID happened, they got all the stimulus and boosted unemployment money and child tax credit money and PPP money and all this other stupid ass money, clown money, right? Monopoly money. That now all of a sudden a lot of people who are poor and lower middle class, now all of a sudden they thought they were rich. Now all of a sudden they thought they made it. Now all of a sudden they thought they was upper middle class. And then all of a sudden everyone's going out, everyone's partying, everyone's clubbing, everyone's on vacation, everyone's at fucking, it's not enough to go to Chuck E. Cheese. No. I'm going to go to Six Flags. I'm going to go to Knott's Berry. I'm going to go to fucking Disneyland. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go there. I'm going to go to Hawaii. I'm going to travel the world. Oh my God, look at me on Instagram. And then all of a sudden, when that free money went away and inflation's still really high, they were like, you know what? Gas prices are so expensive. Hotels are expensive. Airline tickets are expensive. Restaurants are expensive. Why is it so expensive now? No, it's always been expensive. It always went up in 2020, 21. You just didn't notice it because you were getting all that free money. But now you're not getting that extra $200-$300 for fucking oopsie baby per day kid. You're not getting state stimulus. You're not getting federal stimulus. You're not getting PPP loans no more. You don't get boosted unemployment. You got to get a JOB, take your ass back to work on Monday morning, working on your hands and knees for that bitch ass supervisor at that bitch ass company that treats you like shit, but you fucking, you let it happen and you take it because you need to get paid because you got bills that need to get paid. Right now, all of a sudden, people are like, damn, things are so expensive. And then all the economists and stock market investors were like, bitch, it's been expensive. You just chose not to notice it because you were getting all that free money. Well, welcome to the real world, bitch. Pinche sangana thought that shit was fucking cheap still. Fuck out of here. So, Now all of a sudden in 2022, people had to fucking wake up and reality set in that they have to live a more, conservative life now. They can't keep spending money the way they was. They got to fucking be more careful, do more due diligence, be more responsible with their money now. And so, I think that was a rude awakening. I think that was a hard summer last summer. And so, and I feel like that's why the Fed needed to do what they needed to do. That's why I not only became a bear, I became a mega bear before last summer, April 2022 now. So now here we are, and the Fed's over here talking about, yeah, we might stop doing interest rates this summer. We have to see what's happening in the economy, what's going on with inflation. All these banks are tightening their lending standards, and, all this money coming off the balance sheet, blah, 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 blah. But the point is, we feel like we've hurt the economy enough. We feel like we've done enough pain to the consumer. We feel like we've destroyed enough poor people and lower middle class, right? So inflation hopefully just keeps coming down throughout the entire summer. And I'm over here looking at the Fed, and they're over here looking at us, and I'm over here looking at them, and they're over here looking at the bears, and the bears, we're over here looking at them like, bitch, you really think inflation is just going to magically keep going down the way it has been and just go down to 2%? I'm like, nah, bro, like, honestly, I think, again, our base case, I can't stress this enough, America, our base case as bears was always that inflation was going to go up this summer, and that the Fed should keep raising rates, not just in fucking February, not just in March, and not just in May, but they should keep raising interest rates in June, and July, and August, and October. Like, they shouldn't stop. We are nowhere near 2% inflation rates. Nowhere even fucking close. There's too many rich people in this economy. Fuck out of here with 2% fucking inflation rate. Now the bulls are going to say, oh, well, they're just going to give up on that. Sooner or later, they're just going to have to accept that inflation's here to stay now. Inflation's going to be here forever, and you're never going to get it below 2% now. And the Fed's like, no, we will get it below 2% because we don't got a fucking option. If we don't get it below 2%, then the people on fixed income are going to continue to struggle and die. And why is that important during an election cycle? It's because who are the biggest voters in this country? It's not the millennials. It's not the Gen Zs. It's the old people in this country who live on fixed income in this country. They are the most predominant voters in this country. And inflation is fucking killing them. They don't care about the job market. They don't care about the economy. They don't care about none of that shit. When you're on fixed income, you just need to make sure it's enough for you to pay your bills and have some food to eat. Because when you're old, that's all you can do. Am I right or am I wrong? So with that being said, I think the Fed is going to prematurely pause this summer. I won't be making any clips this summer. As I've already told you guys time and time again, I am taking time off this summer. I'm going to go travel. I'm going to go on probably 2-month vacation, maybe 2.5 months of vacation. And I'm just going to go everywhere. Six Flags, Knott's Berry Farm, Disneyland, who fucking knows. Maybe hit up Universal Studios, fuck around. Might take a trip to Cancun, who fucking knows. I'm going to be traveling, going out, the river, the lake, here, there, every fucking where. I'm going to go spend time with family, you know what I mean? Go see my in-laws, I'm going to do a lot of things. Take the kids to go see their grandparents, you know what I mean? Take the kids to go somewhere fun, go to the pool, do different things this summer. So I'm definitely going to relax, definitely going to take some time off. Am I still going to be spending time on the stock market 16 hours a day? Probably. But I'm going to be doing it from my hotel room. I'm going to be doing it from the fucking pool. I'm going to be doing it from the penthouse suite. I'm going to be doing it on my road trip, when I'm staring at my phone every day. Like, I'm still going to be putting in the work, but I'm going to be doing it while I'm on the move, And so shout out to all my VIPs. I'm going to be doing some live stream this summer. So I'm still going to be making a lot of VIP clips this summer, and I'm still going to make a lot of exclusive content this summer. VIP, stand the fuck up. But other than that, that's kind of what I expect to happen is a pause, this summer to potentially start off a summer rally. And then I think the Fed's going to wake up 6 weeks, 12 weeks later and be like, oh my God, what did we just do? How did we fuck this up? All of that work we did to take down inflation and now it's going up again. Oh my God, adios mio. Why didn't anyone see this coming? And the bears are going to be looking at their bitch ass like, these motherfuckers. How could you be this stupid? Or maybe you're not stupid. Maybe you're not dumb at all. Maybe you're just doing what you're being told to do. by the ones who paid you to do it. Who knows? Who knows, America? So other than that, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I really got for you guys. The bulls and administration, the Fed, everyone's going to celebrate this summer, talk about inflation's coming down, da-da-da-da-da, and I'm not believing any of it because I think core inflation is still way too high. And I'll leave you with this because I got this just a few moments ago. I asked one of my researchers to show me how much inflation is up compared over the last 2 years, not just the last 1 year, but really since this entire pandemic happened. How much are things up compared to how much people's wages, your actual paychecks are up? Because one of the things I always say is like, you know, if you're getting paid $10 an hour and it costs $10 to buy some steak, and then the price of steak goes from $10 to $20, but your paycheck stayed at $10, you can't afford the steak no more because the steak doubled and your paycheck's still at 10. Well, now the steak's no longer 20. Now it's starting to come down a little bit. Now it's like, 14, 15, you know what I mean? Maybe 13, right? But your paycheck's still only 10. So even though it came down 70%, it's still 50% higher than you can afford. Again, your paycheck was 10, the steak was 10. Then now all of a sudden, because of inflation, your paycheck is still 10 and the steak went up to 20. You can't afford it. Okay, you got to go down, get some fucking Lunchables or some shit. Well, now the steak prices are coming down, but they didn't come back down to 10. They only came back to like 13, 14, maybe 15 still, especially this summer, right? Because rich people are going to be out here like a motherfucker spending. So now the steak's 15. Okay, well, it came down from 20, but it's still way too high from 10. And the reason that matters is because your paycheck stayed the same. And if anything, your paycheck is actually not the same because even though you're getting paid the same per hour, you're not getting the same amount of hours that you used to. Think about that. So the final numbers came in for this morning. Over the last 2 years, wages are up 10%. Okay, wages are up in the last 2 years 10%, which I actually think it's a lie. I think that's educated people who have bachelor's degrees and master's degrees that are actually seeing an increase in wages because we need more engineers, we need more doctors, we need more nurses in this country, we need more police officers who aren't racist as fuck in this country, we need more law enforcement, we need more border patrol. I mean, fuck, have you seen what's been going on at the border in this country? So we need a lot of, more professionals. We need a lot more educated professionals. We need a lot more, not just PhDs, but you know what I mean? We need a lot more people in certain industries. But if you're just working at Chuck E. Cheese or McDonald's or In-N-Out right now, chances are you did not see an increase in wages this summer. So anyway, so the average wages in America are up 10%, but I think that's predominantly in high income industries, not at fucking low level, mid level, fucking minimum wage industries. So anyways, so wages are up on average 10%. Again, most of you working minimum wage, you barely got an extra 25 cents an hour. But the people who are doctors, nurses, and lawyers, I bet you they got a bigger wage increase because there's not enough of them and there's a scarcity of them, and that's why we're overpaying them because we need more people to go to college and study shit that actually matters, not fucking music and art degrees. But anyway, so wages on average are up 10%, right? In the last 2 years, rent prices are still up 20%, and again, that's different because rent prices in Barstow probably barely went up since, last summer. But I bet you rent prices in like Los Angeles, New York, and Chicago and Miami probably skyrocketed since last summer. So again, that really just depends on the market. But rent prices on average have still gone up more, both in nominal terms and percentage terms, than your wages have. You know what I mean? So example is maybe your rent was $2,000 and it only went up 10%. Well, if your rent was $2,000 a month and it went up 10%, now your rent's $2,200, right? But the problem is, even though it only went up 10%, that extra $200 is probably still a lot of money to you. It's significant to you. So that's why rent prices are still so scary right now. Because even though they're barely going up, 10% or 15% since last summer, if the rent was $2,000, that extra 10% is an extra $200-$300. That's still a lot of money. And the percentage wise, it doesn't seem like a lot, but an extra $200-$300 is actually kicking people in the balls right now, especially when everything is minimum wage, and part-time bullshit. And then the next one is used car prices are still way too high. A lot of people are out here trying to get a new car. Car prices are still insane in my opinion. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. Food prices at the restaurants are up 20% over the last 2 years. Again, most people can't afford to even, go out for Mother's Day now. Rent prices still, again, 20%. Grocery prices up 20%. Car prices up 20%. Electric bill up 20%. Gas bill up 20%. Gas prices up fucking 30%. Fuck. Everything, not just since last summer, but even from 2 years ago. And again, the reason that matters is because most of you, they say wages went up. That's not true. Wages went up for the top 10%. Wages went up for the top 15%. Wages went up for people who matter, which are basically doctors, lawyers, nurses, people where we're understaffed, you know what I mean, since last summer. But for people who work at fucking In-N-Out, for people who work at Chuck E. Cheese, for people who work at Taco Bell, for people who work at Chipotle, for people who work at Chick-fil-A, they barely got a pay increase of like 25, 50 cents. Like, they're not really seeing their wages go up too much relative to how much their rent went up. Because again, if the rent's $2,000 and it goes up 10%, that's an extra $200. If the rent prices go up 15%, that's an extra $300. $300 is a lot of money to people, especially if it's minimum wage, and part-time bullshit, which is why I think you're going to continue to see a mass exodus of people leaving the renting market to go back home to live with their parents because they just can't afford to live on their own anymore, especially going into this summer where I think inflation will start to go higher again. And so I think you're going to see a lot of millennials and Gen Zs just basically stay at home at their mama's house, their in-laws' house, or they're going to have to pick up a second, a third, and a fourth roommate. And again, I think the really fucked up part is that despite all this shit and all this pain we're seeing in the economy, particularly with the middle class and below, they refuse to save their money. They refuse to save up money for a down payment on a house. They refuse to, fix their credit score, improve their FICO score, and they refuse to invest in the stock market right now. All they want to do is party and bullshit and party and bullshit. And that's why I say, unfortunately, some people really are meant to stay poor forever. Ladies and gentlemen, this summer's on you. Ladies and gentlemen, the choice is yours. Ladies and gentlemen, this life is yours. Are you going to keep spending your money on stupid shit till the day you die? Or are you going to wake the fuck up, man the fuck up, grow the fuck up, and start learning about finances, start learning about investments, and start learning about how to get ahead in life, progress in life, and level up in life? Ladies and gentlemen, the decision is yours. Ladies and gentlemen, your moment is here now. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the one, the only, the motherfucking general. Magallon Entertainment! And for all you rich people, enjoy your summer, because I think this market's going to hell in a handbasket. But before it does, I will be one of those that will not only be partying my ass off all summer, but I'm going to be laughing my ass off summer. Because when we come back in the podcast in fall, I'm literally going to get the same fucking question. Why didn't anyone tell us that this was going to happen last summer? Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your summer.
Quicksand.